There is a place in the world where short people not only do not consider themselves different, but on the contrary, are of the opinion that there is something wrong with ordinary people. This place is the village of Yangsi, located in the Sichuan Province in southwestern China. The height of about half of the entire population of Yangsi does not exceed 64 centimeters, and the rest of the villagers cannot be called tall. Their average height is about 117 centimeters. Because of the abundance of short people, Yangsi is called the village of dwarfs, and a huge number of all sorts of legends are associated with it, since to this day the reason for the emergence of such a strange feature of the locals is unknown. Short stature could be called an accident if such a distinctive feature was found in one, maximum two residents of the village. But when there are so many dwarfs in a limited area, you involuntarily wonder, what is wrong with this village? Maybe it's some special water or air? Scientists interested in the dwarf village phenomena also thought so, or rather, they didn't immediately dismiss this version. They personally visited Yangsi, examined the residents, took samples of water, soil and vegetation and found nothing. No anomalies, harmful microorganisms or radiation, nothing that could lead to the mass short stature of the population. Well, the little people themselves, or rather the older generation, when asked about their unique history, answer with a legend. They say that one fine summer night many years ago, a terrible disease fell upon the region, which mostly affected children from 5 to 7 years old. The most striking consequence of this disease was short stature. At some point, the children simply stopped growing. And later this curse found its continuation in subsequent generations of the local population. The dwarfs of the village of Yangsi were first mentioned in 1911. And by 1947 there were already several hundred of them, at least that's what the English scientist Dr. Carol Robin Evans claimed, who allegedly saw the dwarfs from the valley near Yangsi with his own eyes. And if you believe the local archives, a strange disease was indeed registered in this region in 1951, the victims of which were described as people with short limbs. These data were confirmed by the 1985 census, according to which about 119 such cases were found in the village of Yangsi. It is probably the aura of mystery that attracts public attention to the residents of the village of Yangsi, since, let's be honest, there is nothing unusual in dwarfism itself. Yes, this is a certain pathology. The probability of growth retardation is 1 case per 20,000 people, but most of these cases have a reasonable scientific explanation, and the Yangsi phenomenon does not. In this regard, the public began to put forward all sorts of theories. For example, in 1997, it was suggested that the high concentration of mercury in the soil was to blame, but, as we know, scientists searched everything carefully and found nothing. There was also an opinion that the reason for the short stature of the residents of Yangsi was the poisonous gas used by the Japanese who invaded China many years ago. And everything would be fine, except that the Japanese never reached Yangsi, which means their negative impact in this case is minimal. Naturally, it was not without the involvement of otherworldly forces. So, one part of the locals believes that the terrible disease fell on their village because it is not located according to feng shui, that is, it was not built in the most favorable place for life. The other part is inclined to believe that the unrestrained souls of ancestors who were not buried properly are to blame. There is also a frankly fabulous theory, according to which many years ago a man named Wang found a black turtle with strange paws. He brought it to the village, and some villagers suggested releasing the turtle. However, Wang decided in his own way. He baked it and ate it, and after some time, an illness came to the village. At that very moment, the villagers thought that it would be better if they released the turtle into the wild. Currently, the residents of the village of Yangsi live their normal lives and do the usual things for them, except that everything in the village is arranged for their life, and they do not feel like second-class people or different from everyone else. Moreover, the Chinese authorities prohibit foreign travelers from visiting the village. Perhaps they just do not want the way of life of Yangsi to be disrupted by regular visits of foreign guests. After all, many travelers would certainly want to visit the village of dwarfs in person. Or maybe they are still afraid that the unknown disease that has struck the locals could affect foreigners too. So what? There are a lot of suspicious people in the world, and such an opinion has probably flashed somewhere. Anyway, whatever the reason, the settlement of Yangsi remains closed to foreign tourists to this day, and the reason for the short stature of its inhabitants has never been found.